Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, we are back at it again, re-tackling the false copyright claim DMCA strike situation that is ongoing with Wuthering Waves, its content creators, and of course, a lot of different countries across the globe. Because it appears, ladies and gentlemen, there's been another case of abuse, and there's been another case of impersonation by Kuro Games employees to take down content on Twitter. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you thought the first situation over here where this artwork featuring Denya and Sagrika being falsely taken down by somebody impersonating Kuro Games wasn't enough, well, they've gone ahead, they did it a second time over here, confirmed a second time over here, especially due to the fact that this art really doesn't even embody the same sort of like lesbianism that's featured over here. This just shows, this just shows a bunch of students over at Star Torch Academy and then Rover at the background. And then all the proof that you need that this is in fact a false copyright claim is the fact that the one submitted over here, bro, they're using an Outlook email. Yes, this is not a real email sent by Kuro Games. This is sent by somebody impersonating Kuro Games. And the end result is that, well, whatever AI is reading this shit, whatever sort of or whatever brain dead employee is actually reading this shit, well, they're actually going ahead and approving of it. And so that's kind of like the proof over here from this situation that these claims are false, right? That's pretty much all you need. And well, ladies and gentlemen, it appears it's happening en masse. Yes, it is happening virtually everywhere. We've got another update over here. This is the fourth fan art DMCA takedown on X this week. All of these fan arts featured more than one female character, which is suspected to be the common connection. Yeah, so even if there's they're just happy, smiling, doing all that stuff, that's apparently enough for these people to start committing crimes. Do you want to know why I'm going to say that they're committing crimes? Because it's actually very, very clear what the implications are for filing a false DMCA claim. Let me show you a false DMCA claim that I received on my end on my YouTube channel. And this is one thing that you have to state when you file one. I have a good faith belief that the use of this material is not authorized by me, my agent, or the law. The information in this notice is accurate, and under the penalty of perjury, I state that I am the copyright owner or am authorized to act on behalf of the owner. So what that basically means, right, is that if you lie in this thing, you are now committing some type of crime. And I do believe it is actually a federal crime that gets committed because the DMCA, well, when you want to sue or have a court case regarding that, it goes to federal court in the United States. And that's kind of like where the DMCA is originating. And so naturally, as you can see over here, this is a false one that I received, and it's also from an Outlook email. That seems to be the trend when it comes to these false DMCA claims. People will go ahead and impersonate others and, just create a quick little Outlook account to get all of that bullshit done. Not too much of a surprise, is it, that we're seeing a bit of a trend over here. And so this situation has clearly gotten out of hand. And the reason for that is very simple. This now makes it 5 Wuthering Waves content creators in the span of 15, 20 days that have gotten falsely copyright struck across the platforms of YouTube and Twitter. Myself and 4 others. And these are provably false copyright strikes. That's insane for something like this to occur. And that's insane that it's all happening to this high of a degree. And of course, it's something that's not happening to any other gacha communities. It's only happening to Wuthering Waves. And Kuro Games has decided to go ahead and make a bit of a response. Yes, just 4 was enough for them to officially reply on customer service. And, well, this is the response over here. It looks a little small, so we're going to go ahead and pop it open over here. We got Kim from their team. Sometime this morning, actually. They're working very fast on this. Dear Rover, thank you for contacting us. Regarding your inquiry about the removal of fan content on X due to DMCA reports, we would like to clarify again that we did not authorize or initiate any copyright takedowns takedown requests against fan creations. Just once again confirming that Kuro Games was not the one that sent these. And guess what, guys? Kuro Games, knowing that Wuthering Waves is their original IP, they're kind of the only ones that are allowed to do that. And submitting one on their behalf without their permission means that you're committing a crime. Yes, that's how it works. At this time, it appears that there may be cases of impersonation in the reporting process. Part of this text is cut off. We're taking this matter seriously and are conducting an investigation. If any infringement or reputational harm has resulted from such impersonation, and don't worry, plenty has, because we've already seen Hoyo shills across the globe creating rumors, right? Creating speculation about Kuro, you know, like directly attacking and bringing down this art. We will safeguard our legitimate rights and interests through appropriate channels. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to contact us. And so naturally, right, for us to actually talk about the scope and the extent of these damages, I'm actually gonna have to go and, well, review one of my prior videos over here where we do exactly just that. And this is the first iteration, right? You can see that this was only 3 days ago. That's essentially when the copyright strikes on X really got kicked into overdrive. And this is just a slight example of the type of bullshit that Hoyoverse fans, Hoyo shills across the globe, were contributing to the discussion. Let's read this shit out real fast. Apparently, Kuro Games copyright striked a fan art because it showed 2 characters in a romantic way without involving the main character. A game made for incels by incels, I guess. Ooh. So remember what Kuro Games said about your reputational damage and all of that stuff? Man, I think there's a reason why people like this have decided to actually go ahead and take down their posts. You actually cannot see this post anymore. But that's not it, ladies and gentlemen, right? Don't worry, there's more. The illustration might have been reported because it's circulated in China. And look at this, guys. So you know how we received the response from customer service over in EN? What do you think the response is in China when this is also making it to Bilibili on there? And now you have Hoyo shills over on Bilibili trying to spread rumors and farm the situation too. It gained so much traction and looked so polished that many suspected Kuro sponsored it. Kuro may have reported it to X themselves just to prove they weren't involved. As you can see, ladies and gentlemen, this looks like a pincer maneuver. This looks like a two-pronged attack where you have one side of the equation farming horrifying DMCA claims that are obviously super false. And then on the other end of the umbrella, you have people trying to shit talk Wuthering Waves, people trying to damage his reputation, likely or already proven to be. Look at that ZZZ profile picture. You got the Hoyo shill side of the equation, right? Going ahead and now instituting these false narratives that have already been proven false. But it's clear, if you're anybody that has kept up with Wuthering Waves and its fan content creation, you would have known it's bullshit because they added this shit into their officially sponsored Solaris fucking Super Cup fan art event, where you had Augusta and Galbreda going ahead, duking it out, and then having like the gayest interaction I think I've ever seen in gacha history, with, of course, all the shit going on over here. That is something that occurred, guys, at the start of this year. The Solaris Super Cup was like literally 2 fucking months ago. But that's the level of, well, deception that the Hoyoverse part of the fan base loves. That's the level of deception that these individuals are trying to go through, right? To create that false narrative against Kuro Games. And guys, I think it's finally time for the pendulum to swing in the other direction, because we've already created so many different instances, right? And remember when I said that this was spreading over in CN? Kuro had helped incels bully shippers before because incels hate shippers. Kuro removed shippers' artwork for PGR birthday. Incels mock the artist. Uh-oh. Spaghetti-o. So now we've got proven reputational damage over in China. We've got proven reputational damage over in global. And when you combine it with the statement that we're seeing over here from their official customer service, boy, oh boy, doesn't this look like a bit of a recipe for disaster for, I don't know, whoever's gotten a little bit too zealous when it comes to spreading some bullshit about Wuthering Waves? Yeah, it doesn't look particularly too good, does it? And this is really, I think, where we need to start talking about the true origin of these massive number of copyright claims, right? Like I mentioned before, it's only been about a 25-day span of time, probably a month at max, right? This is the 4th DMCA takedown on Twitter. And then, of course, obviously, I had this false copyright claim situation as well on my end. And you know it was false, and you know it was a bunch of bullshit because my video's back up. That makes 5 Wuthering Waves content creators, ladies and gentlemen. 5 Wuthering Waves content creators that have gotten falsely DMCA claimed. Who knows how much happens in CN media as well? So the DMCA is a American thing. The only reason why videos and art are getting DMCA claimed is because it's on YouTube and Twitter. And the headquarters of YouTube and Twitter are in the United States, and so the platforms are basically, well, they're subject to the DMCA when it comes to these takedowns. And so, naturally, you could assume that it's international individuals, right, that don't actually live in the US, that are simply abusing the American copyright claim, copyright takedown system. Because, like I mentioned before, right, I've gotten copyright claimed for people on Twitter from a bunch of different nationalities. This is Japanese. This is also Japanese. And then, of course, this is Korean. And this person was Japanese. So essentially, right, you got 3 Japanese people, 1 Korean person, and of course, 1 American person, like, even, I know I don't look white, but I'm American, right? An American person like me that have been subject to these false claims. Pong is Korean, then why the fuck are they writing in Japanese? Whatever. So I guess it's 2 Korean people and 2 Japanese people. This is just very deceptive over here, right? And guess what happened a month ago? We had this very, very, very publicized situation regarding a specific creator by the name of Mr. Pokey. You might know him by Mr. Jokey. You could also know him by Mr. Copyright Strikey, Mr. Mukbang. And what did Mr. Pokey decide to do? He decided to go ahead and publicize the nature of how he copyright struck another creator because he didn't like their content in some way. And he showed that even though you might be an international body, right? You might be an international individual that isn't in the United States. Well, he showed just how easy it was, right? To utilize the system to take down content in this very, very, very specific way. And so within a month of Mr. Pokey publicizing this issue, farming the fuck out of it, and of course, you know, he's currently in the process of facing some of the consequences for those actions, right? Now we have 5 Wuthering Waves CCs that have gotten provably falsely copyright claimed within a month of him making this video. 5 Wuthering Waves CCs, because this is the thing, guys. You might not consider artists content creators if, the term is called content creator, and I consider this content that they're fucking creating. So yes, artists are content creators for the game. It might be a wild concept to people. You don't have to just make videos or stream to be considered a content creator. This is content that they're making, right? 5 woo-wah CCs that have gotten falsely DMCA claimed within a month of him making this video. And of course, within a month of him making this video. And one thing that's in the comments section of this video over here, the tragic downfall of Saint's career, striked, I'm serious, is this very, very, very damning photo of his comment section. Every CC who he targeted should strike his channel. 3 strikes and his channel will be gone. I used to pray for times like this. This is funny, because if every other CC who watches this and realize they can also copyright strike safe for reacting to their videos, it would be perfect. Pandora's box, Pokey's box has been opened, ladies and gentlemen. It has been opened. I said that Mr. Pokey, with his refusal to moderate his comment section to any degree, openly allowing posts like this, and of course, influencing many others to take action to maliciously attack Wuthering Waves content creators, I said that he was creating a new meta. Yes, I said that he was creating a new meta where now you just go ahead and if you don't like somebody's content, just copyright strike them. And of course, it didn't work on me because I have a lawyer who drafted a counter notice, and now my video's back up because this was sent by somebody, Joaquim, that doesn't exist. This is not a real fucking person. Just like how when people are getting struck for shit like this, it's not by an actual Kuro employee. But the funny thing is, guys, what does Mr. Pokey do across these videos, right? He details the process, gives you some step-by-step instructions on how to do it yourself, doesn't he? Yeah, it goes through all the little hoops, all the little legal barriers that you might have to keep in mind so that you can file these things. Awesome stuff, isn't it? And so now, I received one, I resolved it, but now we have 4 other Woo-Wah CCs that are in some trouble. And you wanna know what the crazy thing is, guys? It is so hard to deal with these, because this is the process. Help with intellectual property issues on X. I need to submit a counter notice for a DMCA notification. This is what you have to do if you want your content to go back up after it gets falsely copyright struck. And this is why I said in my most recent video covering this situation, right? You can see it over here. They're going to jail. That's why I said Kuro Games needs to step in, because this is the process. Get ready for this one. You need to send the person who falsely copyright struck you, who is already committing a crime, who's committing impersonation and perjury. You got to give them your full name, your street address, your city, your state or province, your postal code, and your country. You have to give the person that you know isn't real, that's clearly impersonating, that's committing a crime just by filing this notice in the first place, you have to give a literal criminal all of your information. You have to dox yourself to a criminal. That's the only solution. Unless you're willing to shell out the money, pay hundreds, if not thousands in legal fees, and hire a lawyer. So you dox yourself, and if you can't afford a lawyer, or you just let yourself, you know, get your content fucking taken down by somebody that's committing a crime, impersonation, right? Or you spend hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. I'm gonna be honest. I don't understand the economies of fan art, commissions, all of that. But I don't think hiring a lawyer is necessarily an expense that, like, artists like this can't afford. The clear goal here is to just harass individuals into quitting their career. The goal over here is to overwhelm them, either with the threat to their personal safety and their life by revealing their personal information, or to drown them in legal expenses that they might not be able to afford if they don't want to dox themselves. And so what's the main solution that people are going to have, right? What's usually the main sort of situation that's going to occur? These individuals are probably just going to stop creating Wuthering Waves content, or they might just stop making content as a whole for the gacha space. And that would be awful, isn't it? Because these people are essentially just getting bullied. I don't even think bullied is the right word. They're getting threatened to such a high degree, either financially threatened or having their safety threatened, just because they did the awful crime of making content for Wuthering Waves. And that's the reality. Within a month after Mr. Pokey advertised this copyright striking meta over here on YouTube, and of course, made so many videos about it because he desperately needed those views. Just look at his channel nowadays. You could probably see why he was so desperate to farm that situation, right? Because, well, I know this guy says he just wants to play games, but this is what it looks like when he just plays games. The channel looks like a steaming pile of shit. That is so shit. It's 200k for this. This is the shittiest. This is literally this might be the shittiest 200k sub channel I've ever seen. Legitimately, I think that's what it is. Like, this is just doo-doo dog water dog shit. And so, of course, is it that surprising at all that he's been wanting to farm this situation so much? But unfortunately, like I said before, this was opening Pokey's box, Pandora's box, Pandora's lunchbox. Because what's something Mr. Mukbang has done to such a high degree? Why do you think I'm calling him Mr. Mukbang? Because we could just go ahead and look through his channel history over here, right? And it's just so ironic that this is the guy going out starting this meta when, like, the main thing he does during reactions is just eat food. Like, this is diabolical. Like, look at this. He's eating like a chicken sandwich over here while reacting to a video. And then, like, he went back to, like, the same fucking restaurant or, like, the same fucking fast food place and ordered, like, the same sandwich. Like, the wrapper's the same. Bro, this is what he's doing. You can see the fucking mayo on his lip. This dude is literally just re-uploading people's videos, eating over it, getting mayo, getting white cream all over his face in the middle of the react. Because I don't know if that's mayo. I cannot confirm that's mayo. I'll just describe what it is. That is white cream all over his face. And then putting out content like this. And then advertising stuff like this. And now we have 5 Wuthering Waves content creators that have proven been falsely striked. That's nuts. And guess who hasn't been struck? Guess who hasn't gotten these DMCA takedowns? You see any Hoyoverse players getting them? You see any HSR players getting them? See any Genshu players getting them? See any CCs of those games getting them? No. It's just Wuthering Waves. It's only Wuthering Waves content creators. And so, we're getting attacked in America domestically with me. I have a lawyer, so I am readily able and I have the lawyer. I have the income to be able to deal with these issues. So that's why I'm on the front lines over here talking about this shit. And of course, not being afraid to talk about this shit. But do these guys have that? Do these guys have the lawyers? Do these guys have the financial freedom to be able to pursue this sort of stuff? Probably not. Because they're just artists. They're still content creators, but I don't think art makes enough money to cover thousands in legal fees. I'm gonna be real here. I really don't think it does. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe these guys will like fucking get the craziest team ever and go fuck everything up. But that's why I've been saying the responsibility does in fact actually fall on Kuro Games in this circumstance. Because it's their IP. They're getting impersonated. And their reputation is also getting dragged through the fucking mud. In CN, on Bilibili, and of course, on YouTube, Twitter, all of that stuff, again. And so I'm glad to see this. I'm really glad that the support team has decided to make an appropriate response over here. And I am eagerly awaiting the results of this investigation. Hopefully, publication of the results as well. And of course, consequences for all of those involved who, like I mentioned before, are literally committing crimes. Because I don't think impersonation is legal anywhere. And when you know that the only goal of these creators, right, is to bully people or end their careers, when you know that's the only goal that these guys have in mind, well, that's not particularly a great look. And I think the best part over here, right, is that we've even got ourselves like a little, let me give you that little bonus. Let me give you a bit of a little bonus over here. You remember this? So Pokey's plan was to post bad faith videos to bait Saint into reacting, then quietly strike him each time. He assumed the strike process would take over a month, so Saint wouldn't realize until it's too late. In the YouTube space, this is foul play and straight up despicable.
Oh, alright. I know it would be impossible for you to not react to this content. It will be a content so irresistible, you have to react. Maybe you, after I planned this out, maybe you would know, after I planned this out for so long, it worked out 99%, it went according to my keikaku, right?
Basically just confirmation over here, right? His goal was to take down my channel, end my career. Much like how anyone submitting these false copyright claims, their goal is to end these people's careers. That's the main take I think 99.999% of the population is going to have when this guy talks about his keikaku. And the only problem with his keikaku being, let's just listen to the only problem he had.
It's just that one bit I didn't account for is that the strike actually went through so quickly. I thought it would have taken like way longer.
Huh. Interesting, right? A strike arriving too early. Why would a strike arriving too early ruin your plans, unless your plan was to have all 3 arrive at once? Interesting, isn't it? So yeah, guys, this is the result of the new meta. The new meta of copyright striking other creators if you don't like your content. Because like I mentioned before, it's only been a month since Pokey posted that video right above my fucking head. And now 5 Wuwa CCs are fighting for their careers. For absolutely no fucking reason. Let me know what you all thought. Peace out.